What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Morello Show, number 8. We're getting there. We're getting the double digits, slowly but surely. My name is Kyle Morello. I am your host, as always. And with me today, great friend of mine, Kevin Rice. How we doing, Kevin?
Hi, Kyle. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Like I was just telling you, it's a sunny day here in West Michigan. So,
It's a sunny day in suburban Philadelphia, too.
yes. Hey, we love it. We
Yes.
love it. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, as you may notice, maybe you didn't notice, I don't know. We've got no hat on today. And as I've said with my episode with Brooklyn that we did a few weeks ago, no hat means pretty serious topic. Not that this is, a bad thing per se that we're going to talk about here today. But no hat because of this. So why do I have no hat? Well, to this month is May. We have reached May finally. College basketball fans can sleep. And but more importantly, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And that is something that I am very passionate about and want, to talk about. And Kevin, that's why I brought you on too, because I
Yeah.
know you're very passionate about that as well.
I'm
So
very happy you reached out. And then I was even happier when you're like, let's talk about mental health. It's like, okay, I'm not going on
yes.
a podcast to talk about basketball. I'm going on for something, like you said, a little more serious.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we can always talk basketball. We love basketball, you mean both, but this is something that needs to, this is an episode that needs to happen. So I'm very excited for this. But so first of all, off the bat, for those of you watching this, listening to this, neither Kevin or I are mental health experts. We will say that right off the bat.
Yeah.
We do have our own experiences that, we can get into and we can talk about, but we are not trained professionals. So if you do have questions, go to mental health professionals, go to doctors and ask them for recommendations and such like that. Get your help. But we are here to relate to you more on a personal, friendly, not expert experience. So we're going to get into that.
Way to finding help if you need it.
Yes, and I'm sure both of us, especially I know I am, is going to be posting, on my story, a whole bunch of stuff that I see this month about resources and whatnot. So absolutely. But let's get into this. So Kevin, I guess what I wanted to ask you first is, I text you to come on the show, like you said, and you're excited to talk about it. Why is mental health, awareness important to you?
Well, I mean, I assume, as many others, I struggle with depression and anxiety and have for a while before I even really realized I was. But especially this past year, I finally went to a psychiatrist to get medicated for it. So that was a big step and a kind of a scary step because I had never really wanted to take pills to feel better or like be prescribed something to feel better. I wanted to do it on my own, but I kind of not broke down, but I had a wake up call that I realized I needed some more help than I did. So actually last July of 2020, I finally saw a psychiatrist who got prescribed medication. So that was a big step forward for me, not just personally, but just kind of the people around me too were very supportive of everything. They asked questions that weren't they were engaging questions. They weren't intrusive questions of just, they were proud of me. They were wondering why I did it, like what it took for me to do it. So it's been a long process for that. It's been like backtracking, like probably since I was 15 or 16 and I'm 22 now, of just going through that stuff. So it's been a long time coming and I'm still only 22 years old. And I know it's not going to stop here. It's going to keep going.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, these things don't go away like that, even though people wish, they would. But, and like you said, with pills and stuff taking, and, you want not wanting that to be the only solution. You want to figure out yourself, like what kind of, not without getting into too much detail if you don't want to, of course, but what kind of made you realize that, like, okay, maybe I do need to do something to really fix this issue for me?
So at Temple, around the time we met, probably because I met you when I got back from Rome, I think. So
yeah, second semester junior year. Yeah.
So that's before that, I was just kind of doing it on my own, just kind of powering through it and being like, well, before college too, I thought everyone just felt like that. I didn't realize that was a abnormal feeling to have or a chemical imbalance that they say to have. And then in college, I kind of grinded through it. It was just like, whatever. But I realized that something was off. And then junior year, around when I met you, I started going to a therapist at Temple, but it helped for a little bit. But then the therapist and I agreed that they were like, you kind of like know what to do here. Like you're kind of going through the motions of it all. And I was like, well, I'm still depressed, man. And they were like, we can't do any prescription thing. And I was like, okay, I can see how long I can make it because I had a wonderful support system. The people I trusted with it, and even just the people around me at Temple, like you yourself, who just kind of gave off positive energy, and I thrived off that, really, just being around people who I knew accepted me for me. And then so after, well, COVID actually expedited that process. I was supposed to try and find medication after I got a full-time job after graduation. Obviously that went awry, but it hit a
Yes.
point not long after that plan that I needed to get prescribed something. So that was kind of the journey to it. And it went, but I explained it quickly, but that was 5 years in the making.
Yeah, I mean, definitely was a quick summary of that, but it's an important. I mean, I feel like people want to hear that. Maybe people are on the fence of, not being okay and wanting to get help, and hearing, your stories will help them definitely. So I actually wanted to read a couple statistics too while we were here. Let me pull up this webpage. I had it up, and okay, so here we are. So I'm on the National Institute of Mental Health website, and they have statistics on here for what they call any mental illness, or AMIs. And 1 in every 5 adults in the US 18 or older has some form of any mental illness, which is, or roughly about 20.6% is what they have on here. And then it's more prevalent among females, 24.5%, than males, 16.3%. And especially for our age group, Kevin, young adults, 18 to 25, higher prevalence of AMI at 29.4% compared to 25 at 26 to 49-year-olds, and then 50 and older people, 14%. So, a lot of people deal with this, and, it's scary. I mean, even I've always been someone that's like very, very, happy person. Like I've always, especially throughout my entire life, at the risk of being vulnerable here, which I will be in a second, because I feel like people need to hear it.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, graduated college, couldn't find a job, COVID, thanks COVID, always have messing everything up. But I did finally find a job, which is why I'm here in West Michigan. I'm here in Grand Rapids. And it's been great. Like, the job's been really good, and I've been meeting some people out here, and Grand Rapids is really cool. But there was a time, late November, early December, where all I could think about for probably a week or so, maybe a little more straight, which isn't a long time, I know that, but in the moment, it felt like it.
Forever.
All I could think about was how I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And it was scary. Not that I, was gonna get to harming myself or anything. I had not reached that point at all. But it was scary. Like I didn't want to do anything. I would lay in my bed there, sleep. I would go to work. I was working from home at the time because my one roommate had COVID early November, so I had been at home for about a month working.
Yeah.
Especially being a couple months into the job, it was
Far
really
away
rough.
from where you grew up and everything.
Well, yes, I was
There's
that
always
too.
just a ton of aspects that go into everyone's experience. And one of the main, like, I hate cliches, but it stinks because they're so true. That's why people say them all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just that, like, everyone has different experiences. You don't know what anyone else is going through. So you shouldn't, like, be quick to judge about anything you see going on, because you have no clue what anyone is going on, what anyone has going on without you seeing them.
Exactly. Like, even I remember when I hit like that lowest point, like early December, it was the one night I remember well. It was one of my off days, and I was really, really down. I just didn't want to do anything all day. I think I actually did end up going out because I needed food. So I went food shopping, and every night, my friends and I, and you're part of this too, we get on Discord and play video games and talk, and it's a great time. And I'm usually very active in that. And even during that time, I had been active in my normal self. But the one night, I didn't want to get on. My friend Bobby FaceTimed me. He was asking me if I was going to get on, and I didn't answer, but I texted him. I was like, yo, I'll be on an hour or two, something like that. And I didn't want to get on. I finally forced myself to get on, and I just kind of sat there in silence. And even they knew something was up, but I didn't want to talk about it, because it was then. And a lot of my friends, if they're watching this, they'll probably hear this for the first time and be like, I didn't know. And usually I'm a very open book too. So like you said, don't judge anyone for what they're going through, because you do really never know, even if they seem like the happiest person in the world, like I normally am. But that was a very tough time for me. And I guess, again, without going into detail, did you have any, kind of experiences like that too, where you just, despite the fact that you talk to people all the time, and, you're pretty open about stuff too, I know, was there anything that you were just like, I can't do this right now.
That kind of like malaise comes from time to time, just like the not finding enjoyment in certain things that like I always find enjoyment in. The one for me was when I was abroad. I was in Barcelona, and the next day I was taking a flight to Bordeaux in France, and we were out really late because it was Barcelona, and like everyone was having a great time, and I was just kind of going through the motions. Like I was trying to remind myself, like, I'm in Europe right now. I'm in Barcelona. I've always wanted to do this. This is really, really incredible. But I didn't sleep the entire night. Even when we got back, we were in a hostel, so I was in a bunk bed, and I was just staring at the ceiling, and there was a red light or a street light behind us, and it would reflect into the room. So I was just watching it go green, yellow, red the entire night, just not really falling asleep. I didn't go on my phone, which was nice because that's a whole nother pitfall. But I was just staring at the ceiling the entire time, didn't sleep, woke up for the flight, slept a little on the flight, but then I was in France, and I was just kind of a place I've never been. I probably never will be again, in Bordeaux. And I was just kind of going through the motions, like not really opening my eyes up to anything. It was just kind of, it wasn't boring, but I wasn't getting as much enjoyment out of it as I expected to. And it had nothing to do with the place itself. It was just me trying to kind of put a spark in myself to kind of wake up. And it just never really happened, which was weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've definitely been in situations. I mean, not like in France.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. That was part of it. I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm never going back there. So like, well, I might not. I
yeah,
don't think I can afford to go back there. But it was just kind of that once in a lifetime experience. And I was like, why can't I appreciate this like I know I should be?
yeah. I mean, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, you were even in France and you had never been there before, and you're on this, you're studying abroad, and it was great. But like,
I'm with
if
three
you
of my
if
really good friends over there. Like,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, and if you're not feeling right, like it does not matter.
Mhm.
You have to, and like that's the one thing I want to stress is like, no matter what situation you're in, no matter like if you feel like you're on top of the world, feel like you have friends, money, like what family, whatever it is that you should be happy, you're in a good place. It's okay to not be okay,
Mhm.
even in those situations. You just express it. And I was gonna ask you, like, how important is it just talking about it? Because a lot of people, especially men, like we like bottling up our emotions. That's what we're taught from a very early age.
Yeah.
W- What like how important is it to express what you're feeling?
I was always a quiet person. I think in the first couple of years in college, I think junior senior year, I kind of came out of my bubble, and that was because I started to talk about it more. Just like started with a smaller group of my friends from home, and they really helped me through it. My one friend Bridget absolutely basically saved my life at one point in high school, especially. But talked to it a couple people here and there, and then it just kind of got to a point where our generation, I think, is getting better at it. Like especially our age group of talking
Yeah,
about it more and more. So once people are comfortable talking about it, it's not as like a secret as it is. Like it's like, oh yeah, like I feel like that too sometimes. And then you can talk about it with other people, and then just becoming more open with that. Not like over the top open, like you don't want to be a like too open book because that can kind of not deter people, but kind of go into the fact why you're not feeling good. If you're just talking about it all the time, then you're not going to
right.
feel good. You're talking about it all the time, but just kind of normalizing it and just kind of talking about it more, not making it a personality trait, trying to like balance this here of not making it a
No, no,
personality
I
trait,
got you.
but making it so it's a known thing that like people aren't going to look at you weird when you're just kind of quiet. They'll be like, okay, maybe I know Kevin's going through it. I'll ask him this, and this. And just that whole process of it kind of made me more of an open person in general. And I think I've made a lot more friends just from being this open and just talkative to people, which I never was freshman, sophomore, even junior year. So I credit a lot of just talking about it to who I am right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think, like I just said before, like talking about it is just it's the best way to do it, even though not as many people will be as open as you and I. I think we're two very like talkative, open people about these kind of things.
Mhm.
Um, but even if you have that one person that you always trust, go to them.
Mhm.
They love you, they care for you, they want to see you be doing well, not be doing bad. So there's that.
And to go to those people, and also as they're listening to you, you should be listening to them too. Don't just
Yes,
vent at them, vent with them. Because if you're just kind of not complaining, but if you're venting to a wall, that's not really helping anything. And it's
exactly. And I was going to ask you, we've always been on the other side of those conversations where we've been helping out our friends and loved ones too. As someone who is listening to someone else vent about what they're going through? How can you, be supportive? How can you not overstep what they're trying to say? Like, how do you go into
Mhm.
those conversations with the intention of helping?
Yeah, that's a tough, not a tough balance to hit, but it is a necessary balance to hit, because you can't like poke at it in a way that is gonna make it worse or kind of make them feel like they're not normal, I guess I could say. But it's a case to case basis, I say. And if someone is trusting you enough to come to you, I'm assuming they know you and trust you well enough, and vice versa, to like have a conversation like that. If they're not going to be like caught off guard, like, I don't know what you're thinking. Like, no, I've known the people who come to me. I've known them for years and years, and I'm very, very good friends with them. It's like I know how they think and what I can do to kind of guide them in the right direction. But again, we're not experts. We don't know. We can give our best guess at it, and it might work, and sometimes it very much might not work. And I've had those cases before where I've tried to give someone guidance that I thought would work, and it did not go well. So
Me
it's
as well.
just that balance you have to hit. It's nothing to keep in mind that it's usually, especially like, I try to keep in mind it's not something that I'm trying to like tell them. It's more of just to let them hear it, and they should be able to kind of take what you say with them. But it should never be like a counseling session, because that's for the professionals. That's not a
Exactly, exactly. I think my point in that would be to just actively listen to what they're
yeah.
trying to say. Like I had, and I'm not going to name who this person was for the sake of privacy, of course, but I had a friend, a very good friend of mine, call me a few weeks ago. I think it was like 3 in the morning. He texted me and said, hey, I'm not all the way right now. Like I'm not feeling well.
Mhm.
So they called me, and we talked for like an hour, and I just listened, and they ranted. Um, they said what they needed said. I, try to help them, take their mind off things too, and just listen and try to get a solution to what the issue was. But that's the thing. Like you just have to listen to what people are saying, because if you try to like overshadow they're coming to you with you giving advice and trying to give like your strong opinion on things, that could deter the situation away from what they're really trying to say.
And there are times when sometimes like just getting it out of you is its own kind of cathartic therapy. Of my friends and I have a group chat of three of my friends, and sometimes we'll type "don't respond" with the first line, and then just rant about something just to kind of get it out, and everyone knows like, okay, it's just. And if it's like something concerning, or if it's like a something we see we need to talk about, then we'll talk about it. But sometimes it's just like a not an angry text, but just a like a self event, which is good.
Yeah.
Because like writing was always not writing like fiction, like writing down my thoughts. And like sometimes they were not good thoughts. They were like borderline hate letters to myself, but just getting it out of my system felt good. And then I would just crumple it up and throw it in the trash. So it was kind
Yeah.
of again a cathartic way to just kind of get thoughts out of your head. And once they're out of your head, it actually feels a little bit better. Not always, but it can feel a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like even besides writing for you, is there any other ways that you would maybe suggest for someone if they're not all the way ready to go talk to people? Because obviously, as sometimes it does take time to
Mhm.
build up the courage to come out with these things to your loved ones.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that people could, helpful ways, of course, not harmful ways, that people
Yeah.
could try?
That is something I struggled with over the course of this, and ended up being why I went to medication, just because through college I always had something that I could kind of fall back on. And freshman year, it was always playing video games with my friends or going out with people on my floor and everything. Like there was something like that. Sophomore year, kind of the same. Like I just had a certain video game, a certain TV show I could just kind of reset myself with. Junior year, I kind of got a little bit better with it, of just kind of what was it? Oh, one of the comedians really like Pete Holmes has a podcast, and he always talks about zooming out. If you're ever feeling like rattled, just kind of zoom out like one step at a time, of like, okay, I'm here like in my basement. My basement's in my house in a neighborhood in a county, state, and just keep going out and realize like not how small you are, but like how insignificant your like not your problems, but how insignificant your feeling is going to be in the grand scheme of things. And that was always a good kind of reset for me. That worked when I was in Europe a few times, of just like all I had to do was to say like, I'm in Europe, okay, like just kind of take a deep breath and relax. But then it got to a point where I kind of ran out of those things, and not that they got boring, they got kind of stale, I'd say. and I needed something else, and that was medication. So not that medication is bad at all. Like I'm
Not at all.
very, very happy I'm on it because I don't have to kind of do these mental Olympics anymore of just trying to find something to calm me down. So that is something I've not had I had a tougher time with than I would have liked to. So, but yeah, it's usually just finding something, and it can evolve into many things of just kind of to reset yourself.
Yeah, and that's something I always do too. One of the things that I've always done with myself, and if I'm not, if I'm not feeling my best, I'll just, one thing I like to do is I like to go in nature. I like to, there's the one park in Bucks County near us called Peace Valley Park. I'm sure you know very well.
I've been there.
Um, Always, I love to go there alone. I go there alone more than I go there with my friends, probably double, at least when I was home, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
and
think I did too, honestly, of just kind of going. It's Peace Valley.
I
It's
was gonna say a punny, but it's true.
yeah,
Like it's a nice park, and even here in Grand Rapids, we have Anabawina Park. It's downtown. It's like right on the Grand River, right in downtown. And I like going there and just walking and just being on the river. And it's nice. But even though I was gonna say, like, I have things like that I know I can do to reset kind of my mentals. I can be like, okay, I need to relax a little bit. Let's breathe. Let's go take a walk. Let's go in nature. Let's just appreciate where I'm at right now. Because I
mhm,
think that's also, like you said, with zooming out and just, in the grand scope of things, like, you're like, damn, like I'm here, I'm alive, I'm
alive.
vertical,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
alive.
present. The chances of becoming a person are like 4 trillion to 1, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
and to have connections with other people, like that's 4
this
trillion,
is,
one
it's
of 4 trillion,
beautiful.
4 trillion. Yeah, so there's like a lot that can change how you think, but it's obviously not going to like be a snap thing. Like it took me years. I'm sure it took you a pretty long time too.
You have to work on it. Like,
Yeah,
it's not something, and that's something that I realized, being out here, because I had never really struggled like that with my mental health outside of, like typical girls and
yeah,
whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But
hmm
this was the first time that I really like had to go, okay, especially being so, all of my friends and my family are at home,
hmm
and I, obviously love my roommates, love the people that I've met here from work. But essentially, at least for the first few months, like I was alone, and I'd
yeah,
never been that alone before. And it was really scary. So, and
yeah,
especially I'm someone who, as you know, my family and my friends are my like priority. That's
yeah.
my
hmm
people is all I care about. So, and I even get a little choked up talking about it now,
yeah.
but like that's true. Like I love everybody so much, and it was really tough. Has been tough, not being with them. And that definitely contributed to what I went through and what I've been going through. But it takes time to work on it. I've been here 7 months now, and I'm good now. But like it's taken time, and this stuff takes time, and you have to work on it. And I'm sure too. You've been working on it since you were in high school. Like,
Yeah. And like the stuff that, like you're saying right now, your friends and family, is stuff that makes it tough and kind of puts you in that is also the stuff that brings you out of it. Like I've never been to Michigan. Like I've never worked away from all my friends and family like that. So I don't know what that feels like for you. I can somewhat think about it, but again, it's your experience. And like if I were that far away from everyone, I would obviously miss everyone. But then again, what's gonna help me get back to like my normal state is realizing that they are in my life and that I will see them again. I'm gonna be around them again, whether it be over the phone, in person. Like at some point, everyone's gonna come back and those it's gonna reset, like I said.
yeah, and that's the one thing that's at least helped me even more than I've realized is being in those discords every night with my friends and just chopping it up, playing video games. Even when they yell at me when I do bad in Warzone, which
Like
happens every time, every time. But like
it's the nothingness like that that can just kind of bring you back up, which is awesome.
it's still, because honestly, at the end of the day, and I say this a lot, like it is the little things in life.
Yeah.
It's playing video games with your friends at 1 in the morning, and maybe I go into a building in Warzone and someone's shooting at me, and I turn my back on them and I get killed in the Warzone and I get yelled at by my friends for it. Like that stuff's fun. Going
hmm
for a drive and listening to your favorite music,
hmm
therapy for me. Like I love driving, and that's a big reason of it. Even, you know, obviously I haven't driven with a whole lot of people I've been out here, but driving with friends too at home is great. And driving
hmm
by myself is my
Yeah.
favorite
Yeah.
because nobody bitches at me for the music. So
Oh yeah, my Honda Accord is a safe space for me. I
yes,
love it.
my
It's
Kia
awesome.
Seltos is my safe space as well. Like it's just there's all these little things that, you know, that has helped me get through things, is appreciating the little things. Because
Mhm.
like I said, like we're here.
Yeah.
Like we're talking on Zoom, like in this technology, and like we're 750 miles away from each other.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
that's insane.
and like I love little things too. And not that like the big things like job, like I'm trying to think of like job is obviously the big one, but like
Job,
philosophical standpoint, like
marriage,
significant other, like
relationships. Yeah.
that's like subjective and everything. Like the bigger things for, I guess, the greater majority of people are less interesting to me than like the little things of playing video games with your friends, taking a bike ride, just like having an inside joke with someone at work and just like locking eyes with them. Like that shit's awesome. Like I'd rather
Yes.
have that than like any of the kind of I don't know what the word is, but like the bigger stuff. Because
Yeah.
girls like mental health and everything, like girls contributing to your mental health, like that was a big thing for me in college. Obviously, I think it is with just about everyone.
Pretty
And
much everyone.
that senior year, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm kind of break away from it. I don't think I need that. I'm going to learn how to love myself, which is another big cliche, but you absolutely have to love yourself. You can't complete yourself without or with someone else. Like you should not be going for a relationship that's like, oh, they complete me. Like now I'm stable. That's not healthy because for a
You
number.
can't love someone else till you love yourself.
Right. So like you need to become a person, a whole person, and it takes time, obviously, and you should keep trying to become more and more of a whole person. But you need to become a person you're comfortable living with for a while by yourself if you're gonna be with someone else. That's always been kind of a not always. It has since been kind of a second thought for me of just a girlfriend, a significant other, anything. Just I want to do me first before
Yeah.
I go with anyone else.
And even, if not that I want to offer relationship advice, I'm not the person to offer relationship advice, but people like when you are figured out for yourself. Like if you are working on something for you and you're not even worrying about anything else,
Yeah.
people get attracted to that.
The more you do for yourself too. Like don't do stuff for other people to impress other people, especially romantically. That is, I'm not again not a relationship expert, but I can pretty confidently say that's not a healthy way to kind of build yourself up. You need
Never
to,
do anything for anyone else other than yourself.
yeah,
Not to be selfish, of course, but
yeah,
like
yeah. It's
be there,
context.
be there for other people. But
Mhm.
in that context, like don't work on yourself for someone else. Don't go to the
Yes.
gym for someone else. Don't
Don't
lose weight for
change
someone
yourself.
else.
Yeah. Don't change yourself for someone else. You are
Never.
who you are. And if they don't love you, if they don't appreciate you, if they don't want to be with you, then that's their loss. As long as you're like a good whole person. Like if you're
Yes.
being, then yeah,
Don't be
that's.
an asshole.
But yeah, don't be an asshole. But like if they're not going to accept you for that, then it's not supposed to be that way, in my opinion, at least.
And
It's
that goes with friendships too, and
friendship.
loved ones. Like if someone, you will find people who will appreciate you for you, even if it does not seem that way right now. You will find someone who will appreciate you for you. Like Kevin right here. Kevin's the fucking man. I love Kevin.
I love Kyle.
Like, like
Oh yeah, we gave each other gigantic hugs at Al Sports Update every time
every
we.
Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh yeah, it was the Morello hug. It
Yeah,
was
it was the Kevin Rice hug. Like, I appreciate you for you.
Mhm.
Like, and you appreciate me for me.
Absolutely.
And every relationship should be like that.
You don't have to.
Whether
You don't have to be more like I don't have to be just in our relationship here. I don't have to be more of Morello for Morello to like me. Like
yeah,
I'm Kevin, Morello's Morello, and I like Morello, and Morello likes Kevin. Like
exactly. And that goes with all of my friends, and I'm sure it goes with all of your friends too.
yeah,
Like, just be you. Don't try to be anybody else ever.
and that's awesome because like if everyone was me, they'd love basketball like a little bit of a healthy amount. Like they'd be interested in all the same things as me. That's not fun because then I'm not getting any variety in my life. I'm not seeing other opinions. I'm not seeing other like ways. My friends love soccer. I don't. And like I'd like to hear from them about stuff because then it kind of shapes me as a person. It makes me more full.
Yeah, and you get that different experience with different peoples, especially like, if you meet new people you've met before and you start to become friends with them and you learn different life experience. Like a lot of people out here when they meet me probably assume I'm just from Michigan, but I'm not. I was born in New York and I grew up in Philly. Like I have my own experiences, but I'm also learning about other people's Michigan experience. Like
Yeah.
it's different.
And that can be how they live, it can be their music, their sports, just how they see the world. So it's awesome to just kind of see other people, listen to other people, listen. I want to make the word of the podcast, I think, of just
Yes.
listening to other
No,
people,
but it's true.
seeing how they live, seeing not what they do like well and wrong, just like observing it and seeing it and listening.
And the other thing I'll say too before, we start to head out here is like we were saying before, like absolutely do not judge people whatsoever. Don't judge them for the things they do. Don't judge them for how they look. Don't judge them for race, religion,
Mhm,
you know, anything that they like. Don't make fun of someone for they like. Learn from them.
mhm.
Learn what they like about it, you know, how they got into it, whatever it is. Like just, or if if it's like a race religion thing, like learn about the history of things before you judge, because people are
Mhm.
so quick to judge, and
Right.
that's all another issue that can be
Right.
discussed
There's
another
so
time.
many layers to like all of this that we don't have time to go through,
Yes,
obviously.
we don't,
And
but
religion being just a gigantic one.
whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Religion release, whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is just don't judge people. Just if you meet someone, just unless they give you a reason when you meet them to for you to dislike them or for you to
Mhm.
not judge them, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just
Because
don't,
people
just don't.
change. Even if it's past stuff. Obviously, there's exceptions of like people just truly being horrible people sometimes.
Yes,
Like
of
that can
course.
happen. But if there's been past stuff, don't kind of hold on to that. Maybe they grow, maybe they don't. It happens. But yeah, just listening to people, seeing how they grow, seeing how you can grow from them is just monumentally important, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Kevin, real quick before we go, is there any, last piece of advice, something you want to get off that, will help people who are listening to this and watching this right now?
I think the zoom out thing I mentioned earlier helped me a ton. I don't know if it'll help everyone, but just kind of taking a minute. It's basically like a meditation, like an active meditation of just kind of stopping what you're doing. You could be walking too, it doesn't really matter. Stopping what you're doing and just kind of centering yourself and then kind of zooming out piece by piece. You can go anywhere you want of just think about there's people sleeping in Italy right now, or people eating dinner in Italy right now, I guess. There's people on the West Coast probably just waking up. There's all of these things by like the billions happening all around you. And you can just kind of feel small, but in a good way. Of you don't have to feel insignificant, but you can feel it's going to sound weird. You can sound irrelevant to like the big problems. And that kind of always brought me back into me and be like, okay, my foot hurts. I'm having a weird, bad day. But out of all of the stuff happening all over the world, this is where I'd want to be. So
Yeah,
that would be my
just
advice. Just to
centering
zoom out.
yourself.
Yep. Center
Yeah.
and zoom out.
Yes.
What about
And
you,
I
Kyle?
guess, yeah, mine would be, well, one, just breathe
Mhm.
and no, it's like take through your nose out your mouth. I do that a lot. And even though it's just breathing and you do it regardless if you're vertical, but like it helps. It helps a lot just to take some deep breaths and say, it's going to be okay. As long as you believe it's going to be okay. And manifesting is a whole other thing that we could have gotten into and I
Yeah.
forgot about, but something I do too, just it's going to be okay. It will be okay no matter what. And
It might
then
not be right now, though. It might be in an hour, it might be in a day, but it will be.
you never know. Life is this funny, really funny place.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I guess the other thing I'll say is, not that I want to speak for you on this too, but I'm sure you'll be okay with this. If you are watching this, listening right now, and you ever want to talk, if you ever need anything and you just want to vent to someone, I'm here. My DMs are always open. And if you know me personally, my texts are always open. And I'm sure same thing for you too.
Yeah. Ditto. Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I've had so
So
many people help me throughout my years that I would be a horrible person if I didn't pay that forward.
yes, exactly. And even if I don't know you, even if I barely know you, even if you're one of my best friends, do not
Yeah.
hesitate to reach out to me because I will help you, regardless if I know you or not. I will help you and we'll get through this together because, life, even though you're alone at the end of the day, it can be a team effort to get you where you want to be.
For sure.
So, all right. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you coming on the show very, very much. This was a very important
Mhm.
episode, and I'm glad we did this. So,
Thank you very much, Morello. Glad you
yeah,
had me on for this. I was very honored.
yeah, of course, of course. Next week we have another Kevin on. One of my good friends, Kevin Braunley. The NHL playoffs start in about a week and a half here. So we're getting down to the wire. So he's going to be on. We're going to be talking about probably some Flyers and Blackhawks is what his teams. We're going to be talking about some Rangers and my teams, and just around the leagues, what to expect because it's been an interesting NHL season and we're getting toward playoff time here, so it's going to be good. But yeah, Kevin, thank you again as always for coming on, and thank you all for watching and listening as always. Love the support that I've been getting from everybody, and yeah, I'm not stopping anytime soon. So we're here to stay, and that's all I got. So appreciate y'all. We will see you this time next week.